The diner door chimed softly as Mia rolled inside, the familiar jingle giving her a small sense of comfort. She'd been coming here after her physical therapy sessions for years, long enough that the staff knew her order by heart. The place smelled of coffee, warm syrup, and frying bacon, scents that usually made her feel grounded. She maneuvered her wheelchair toward her usual booth by the window, her arms tired but steady. The late afternoon sun filtered through the blinds, striping the tiled floor with warm golden lines. Mia liked this time of day. It was quiet, predictable, exactly what she needed after the exhausting exercises her therapist insisted she could totally handle. But today wasn't quiet. 3 teenagers lounged in a corner booth, kicking their feet up on the seats, laughing at something on a cracked phone screen. Their laughter wasn't friendly. It was sharp, loud, edged with something performative. The moment the door chimed, their eyes slid toward her. She felt it, the stare that lingered too long, the whisper that wasn't quite quiet enough. "Bro, look," one muttered, nudging another. Speed racers back. Mia kept her gaze low, pretending not to hear as she rolled to the counter. The waitress, Bonnie, shot the boys a warning look before turning to Mia with a soft smile. "Strawberry shake?" Bonnie asked. "Please," Mia whispered, trying to keep her voice steady. But the boys weren't done. Their chairs scraped against the floor, purposeful, slow, as they stood. The sound crawled up her spine. She gripped her wheels a little tighter, silently praying they'd just leave. They didn't. One boy circled around behind her, leaning close enough for her to smell the cheap cologne drowning out sweat. "Where you rushing, Wheels?" he taunted. "Gotta race someone." His friend snickered. Mia kept her eyes on the counter, heart thudding against her ribs. She'd learned long ago that ignoring bullies worked better than engaging. But then fingers, as careless as they were cruel, struck her cheek in a sharp slap. The sound cracked through the diner like breaking glass. Mia gasped. Pain bloomed, hot and humiliating. For a moment, she froze, body shaking, breath trapped somewhere in her throat. She didn't know what hurt more, the sting on her skin or the laughter behind her. "Hey," Bonnie shouted, "knock it off." The boys only laughed harder, shoving the door open as they swaggered out into the fading sunlight. Their laughter lingered in the air long after they were gone. Mia sat trembling, her fingers shaking too much to wrap around her wheels. The familiar diner suddenly felt unfamiliar, smaller, colder, less safe. She swallowed hard, trying to hold herself together as tears threatened to slip down her burning cheek. Mia stared at the reflection of the neon diner sign in the chrome napkin holder, watching it blur as tears filled her eyes. She hated crying in public. She hated feeling small. But most of all, she hated that moment, that slap replaying over and over like a cruel echo. Her hands trembled violently when she tried to grip the wheels. It wasn't fear, she told herself. It was exhaustion from therapy. It was the long day. It was anything but fear. But her body wasn't convinced. Bonnie leaned over the counter, her voice going soft as velvet. "Honey, don't rush. Take your time." Mia nodded, but her throat felt tight. She swallowed hard, wiping her cheek with the back of her sleeve. The burning hadn't faded. The sound of the kitchen door swinging open broke the quiet. The old cook, Gus, shuffled out, wiping his hands on his apron. He'd been working here longer than Mia had been alive, a man carved from wrinkles, gray hair, and gentle annoyance at the world. His brows furrowed the second he saw her. Trembling. "Sweetheart." Gus knelt awkwardly beside her wheelchair, joints cracking. "Do you need help getting home? Need me to call someone?" Mia shook her head quickly. "No, I just need a minute. I'm fine, really." The last word quivered, betraying her. Gus sighed the way a man sighs when he wishes he could fix the world with his hands. His gaze drifted toward the door where the boys had disappeared. The muscle in his jaw ticked. "Those little punks have been coming around too much lately. Think the world belongs to them because no one ever told them it doesn't." Bonnie crossed her arms. "I told them to leave last week for harassing the Thompson kid. Should have called the sheriff then." The diner fell quiet again, broken only by the soft hum of old fluorescent lights and the distant hiss of the grill cooling down. Outside, the sun dipped lower, bathing the parking lot in orange and purple. Shadows stretched long, turning the world softer but also more uncertain. At a table near the door, A trucker who had witnessed everything sat stiffly, anger tightening his shoulders. He glanced at Mia, then at the door. Slowly, he reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "Yeah," he murmured into it, voice low but steady. "Tell the boys to ride over. We've got something that needs attention." He hung up without fanfare. No dramatic tone, just a quiet certainty. Mia didn't hear any of it. She was too focused on breathing slowly, counting in, counting out, the technique her therapist taught her for moments like these. She stared at her reflection again, this time noticing how small she looked under the yellow diner lights. She didn't know that a different kind of help, loud, fierce, protective, was already thundering her way. The quiet hum of the diner had just begun to settle when the door chimed again, once, then twice. Bonnie looked up, expecting a late customer or maybe another trucker coming in for coffee. Instead, the air shifted. Boots hit the tile first, heavy, deliberate. Then another pair, then another. The bell jingled over and over as more of them poured in, one after another, until the diner felt too small to contain them. Leather vests adorned with patches and symbols caught the dim light, some old and faded, others bright and fierce. The smell of engine oil and cold evening air trailed in behind them like a second wave. Conversation died instantly. Forks paused mid-air. The old cook peeked from the kitchen, eyebrows lifting in surprise. Even Bonnie, who had seen her fair share of rough customers, straightened with new caution. Mia's breath caught. She wasn't scared, exactly, but overwhelmed. It felt like watching a storm roll in through the front door. At the front of the group stood a man built like the trunk of an oak tree, broad shoulders beneath worn leather, beard streaked with silver, eyes sharp but warm. He scanned the diner slowly, and when his gaze landed on Mia, something softened in his expression. He walked toward her, his steps surprisingly gentle for someone who looked carved from stone. Mia instinctively backed her wheelchair a few inches. I think you have the wrong." He crouched to her level, his joints cracking like old wood. "You must be Mia." Her stomach flipped. "How do you?" "Friend of ours called," he said, tilting his head toward the trucker in the corner. The man raised his coffee cup in a silent acknowledgement. "Said something happened here, something that shouldn't have." Mia blinked, cheeks heating again, this time from embarrassment rather than pain. "It's fine, really. I don't want to cause trouble." The man gave a slow, almost amused smile. "Trouble was caused the moment someone laid a hand on you." Behind him, the other bikers spread out, not threatening, but purposeful. A few spoke quietly to witnesses. Others scoped the diner for clues, asking calm, pointed questions. The one with a braided beard squatted near the door, checking the scuffed floor where the boys had stood. Someone else briefly examined the security camera near the corner. They weren't here to start chaos. They were here to gather facts. Mia watched in disbelief. No shouting, no chest-thumping bravado, just a silent, united force moving with the precision of people who'd handled situations far worse. "You know their names?" the leader asked gently. Mia hesitated, then shook her head. "They go to a school near mine. They've bothered me before." "Then we'll find out." He stood, towering again. "You don't need to worry about that part." The bikers regrouped within minutes, their conversation low and decisive. A younger biker stepped forward, phone in hand. "Got their identities. They bragged online last week about pushing some kid outside the arcade." "Same guys." The leader nodded once. "Then we know where to look." Mia's heart pounded. "Please, don't hurt them." He paused, turning back to her. "We don't put our hands on kids, sweetheart." His voice rumbled like distant thunder. "But we make sure they learn respect." Outside, engines roared to life. Deep, rolling thunder merging into a single growl. The windows trembled. The night shifted. Mia watched through the glass as the bikes formed a line, headlights glowing like a row of watchful eyes. The leader stepped out last, giving her one final look. "Stay put. We'll be back." And with that, the storm rolled out into the dusk. Night settled over the town like a heavy blanket, the last streaks of sunset fading into deep blue as the bikers' engines thundered through the streets. Mia could only imagine where they were going, but she could hear the echoes long after they disappeared down the road. The boys weren't hard to find. They were exactly where one biker predicted, behind the convenience store 2 blocks from the diner, slinging insults at each other, pretending nothing in the world scared them. But when the ground began to tremble beneath the growing rumble of engines, their laughter sputtered out. One looked up first. His smirk collapsed. What is that? Headlights swung around the corner, bright and blinding. One bike, then another, then another. The boys backed into the wall instinctively, their bravado draining with every rev of the engines. The motorcycles didn't rush them. They circled slowly, deliberately, forming a ring that boxed them in. The engines echoed in the small alleyway, vibrating through the concrete, turning the air thick with sound. The leader killed his engine first. Silence didn't follow. It only shifted, replaced by the low grumble of the other bikes. He dismounted with a controlled calm that was somehow more terrifying than any threat. The boys stood frozen. "You three," the leader said, his voice steady. "We need to talk." One of the boys tried to speak, but his voice cracked. Look, we didn't mean. That girl you slapped didn't do a damn thing to you," the leader cut in. "Did she?" The boy gulped and shook his head. "So why'd you do it?" Silence. The man stepped closer. Not touching, not towering, just present, solid enough to make the boys wilt. "You think hitting someone in a wheelchair makes you tough?" "And no," the oldest boy stammered, eyes darting between the bikers surrounding them. A younger biker leaned forward on his handlebars. "We used to be punks like you once. Differences, someone taught us better." Another added, "Consider this your lesson." The leader tugged a folded paper from his pocket. "School, names, parents, yeah, we know who you are. We're not here to put hands on you. But next time you go after someone vulnerable, you'll answer to us, and trust me, we don't give second warnings." The boys nodded so fast their necks strained. "Good," the leader said. He stepped back, giving them room. "Now go home, and think real hard about the men you want to grow up to be." The boys didn't wait. They bolted, stumbling over each other as they fled down the street, tripping in their own panic until they disappeared around the corner. The bikers watched for a moment, making sure they were gone, before turning toward their motorcycles. Engines roared to life again, rumbling across the quiet night. Back at the diner, Mia sat near the window, hands wrapped around a lukewarm shake she'd forgotten to drink. She jolted when the first motorcycle pulled back into the parking lot, then relaxed when she recognized the leather vests. The bikers entered more gently this time. The leader approached, removing his gloves as he walked. "It's done," he said. Not bragging, not dramatic, just certain. Mia looked at him with wide, grateful eyes. "Did you hurt them?" "Nah." He smiled softly. "Fear teaches better than fists." One of the younger bikers placed a small enamel pin on the counter in front of her, an angel with chrome wings. "For protection," he said simply. Mia swallowed hard, emotion thickening her voice. "Thank you, all of you." The leader tapped 2 fingers against the brim of his helmet. "You're safe now, and if anyone gives you trouble again, you let us know." As they turned to leave, Mia felt something she hadn't felt in hours: steadiness. Safety. Strength. For the first time since the slap, her hands stopped trembling.